on a much lighter note, guys, where did these rankings come from again, Mike?
This is from The Ringer.
Oh, The Ringer,
and
right.
And they did an all-in index,
An
which
all-in
pretty much looked at.
Yes.
Steve, let's take let's take 68 here, the VO, and just kind of explain to the people what this is. They looked at how each team is spending their money and the team's draft capital, and it's the value of the picks, not the players chosen, and how much they're spending an annual average to rank which teams are the most all-in this year and next year, and which teams are clearly building for the future.
Okay.
And cut to the next one, Steve.
Yeah.
Let's keep this moving to give the people the information they need. These are the rankings. These are their all-index rankings. The Rams were the most all-in, and the Browns and the Broncos were tied for second. It says 2 and 3. They're tied at 123.
All right.
For second, meaning the Browns are as all-in as any team in the league, and here's the reasoning if we cut one more, Steve.
Okay.
They're fifth overall in spending. Mm-hmm. They're third in the least draft capital, and the bottom line was they're all-in on Deshaun Watson. They say the championship window's 2 years. Are you guys buying that timeline?
They're saying the Browns' championship window is 2 years.
Before they run into some serious contractual issues.
I actually kind of agree with that.
That's actually on point.
It might be less, actually.
Right.
It could be two or less because right now they're able to do everything and have that wiggle room because of the way that they structured a lot of people's deals. But once those cap numbers hit, it's going to be a lot of players that's going to have to be let go because they can't afford to keep them all. And on top of that, running back, we got Nick Chubb. Running backs don't last that long in the league, so you got to really expedite this process here.
You just made my point to go get Jimmy G. If you get a 2-year window and you're going to waste 11 games on Jacoby Brissett, but
it's not wasting 11 games.
He's a backup.
This is the thing. We got to stop. We panicked. Didn't you just say this? You panicking.
No, it's not a
This
panic.
is the thing.
They signed Jacoby
Brissett.
They signed Jacoby Brissett thinking it was going to be 4 to 6 games.
He's not going to be ready to play week 1 anyway.
You don't need him for week 1. You need him for week 5.
So what if Jacoby Brissett goes out there and have a great game?
You need him.
Good problem to have.
That's what so then you'll be paying somebody that you might not even use.
Look at the schedule from week 5 to week 11. That's when you need Jimmy Garoppolo.
Let me tell you something. I'm not a fool. I'm not giving away $20 million for 5 games.
You don't have to.
No, if he gets cut,
it's a
at this
different
point,
story.
I wouldn't trade for him.
I don't want to side rail. I don't want to go backwards on the topic.
Yeah.
But to go back to what Tyvis was saying and go back to this point, obviously I think those are the right calls. Less Snead with the Rams, less F them pick Snead with the number 1 team. The Broncos just went and got Russell Wilson. The 49ers just traded 3 picks to go get Trey Lance, and obviously the Browns on Deshaun. And the reason it's a 2-year window, they have $50 million in cap space now. They're trying to roll over, which goes back to the Jimmy question. They're $30 million over the cap next year. That's why it's a 2-year window. They can roll the money from this year into next year, and after that, you got a lot of decisions to make, and you got to start playing cap gymnastics.
Here, Mike, you bring me that graphic back about the teams that are all in. I'm going to tell you what. There's a common denominator here with all these teams, right? Desperation. The Rams were desperate, right?
They won a Super Bowl. They ain't desperate.
Get off.
They're still drilling.
But they were when they made the moves.
Take off this, because that started last year when they went all in, started getting people.
There ain't no pressure on them now. They got the rings and the hangover.
This is the remainder of that. They're caught up in the middle of the run, right? So look at the Broncos. The Broncos are tired of being in the position they've been in. The Browns have been in a futility position for basically since the time they've come back to town here. And the Dolphins are the Dolphins. I got to talk about the Dolphins.
The Dolphins is a little
honestly,
curious
I think
to me.
these rankings are stupid. The Dolphins and 49ers, I don't know how they're all in. Neither has a particularly good quarterback.
The 49ers traded all their trades. And they got to pay Nick Bosa again soon, so they're going to be out of money.
I think the rankings are stupid. What I would say,
all of those teams made significant major trades within the last year.
To get a quarterback, right? But that's
Tyreek Hill doesn't play quarterback.
They're desperate.
Well, I don't know that the Dolphins are all in with Tua.
That's the one that's a little head scratching.
Yeah,
they're about to trade for Lamar Jackson.
To your point on Garoppolo, at this point, I don't think the Browns should trade for Garoppolo. But if the Niners cut him, which I think they will, at that point they should sign him and bring him in.
The problem
That's what I do. Because he's not playing the first month anyway. There's no rush to get him.
If he gets cut, I think if they want to increase their chances of landing him, they would have to trade for him. Because if he gets cut and it's his decision, why would I come here for 11 games? I'm basically in the same situation.
He ain't starting anywhere else except for maybe Seattle.
Miami.
No.
Miami's not taking him.
He's not
They
starting.
wouldn't. Why would he not? He could go right in there and play. The Jets.
No.
He could go right in there and
He's
play
not
right
starting
away.
for the Jets.
He could go right in there and play. It's the same
They
offensive
got a rookie
scheme that he's been
quarterback.
doing.
They got a young quarterback. They're not benching Zach Wilson.
He out for like what,
Well,
4 weeks?
Nah, at the most.
No, the only team
You
I
said
think,
he wouldn't come for 11 games. Zach Wilson's not going to miss
You're
11
right.
games. Seattle, I guess he could start.
Seattle's
Go to
the
Seattle.
only
But
team.
they stink.
But I mean, it appears to me that Seattle wants to just take their lumps this year and go and get a quarterback
of the
in the
teams
draft.
that would be interested, where
have
would he have
the-
a chance to play more with a good team than the
I
Browns?
totally agree with you. He
Miami.
has the best supporting cast
But
here.
I just don't buy that Miami wants him.
His
Miami
offensive
has zero interest in Jimmy G.
His offensive
We
coordinator.
don't know that, and you're right.
Y'all say that
Just
now.
because they've said publicly they don't. I just think they're in on Tua.
If he's a free agent, I think a lot of people would bring him in.
Right, but a lot of people would bring him in as a backup, where for the Browns, if he's healthy enough, he would start until Watson came back.
Well, he'd be technically a backup for the first couple of weeks until he gets.
Yeah,
the
but just because
playbook.
he's not going to start for
So
anybody.
now he's not going to play 11 games. He's going to play like 8,
Yeah, but
7 or 8.
where else is he definitely going to play 7 or 8 games?
Seattle.
But Seattle stinks.
And
so
Tua's on the clock. We need to cut it out.
I hear you. He might be. Didn't Jacksonville or didn't Miami bring in a veteran backup?
Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, okay.
I don't know. I don't buy Jimmy Garoppolo's any better than Teddy Bridgewater personally,
Wow.
but I think they're the same.
Wow. The disrespect on this man.
I don't think Jimmy G's that good, but he's better than Jacoby Brissett. But here's the thing. Getting back to the initial point of like these, I never like these things. This idea that there's this 2-year window to win is really dumb. It's only a 2-year window to win if the Browns have bad. If you think Andrew Berry sucks as a GM, because the salary cap problems are only problems if you can't draft and develop young players. See, the good teams if they have a quarterback, the good teams keep their window open as long as they have that quarterback if they draft well. The Browns have to go at it a different way, right? Like, the Browns have spent a lot in free agency in recent years. Not as much this year, but the last few years, they've spent a lot, and they've extended Watson, Garrett, Ward, 5 for $100.
Amari Cooper, that was his deal.
Well, that wasn't with the Browns.
Well, I'm just saying currently he's on the
But
Browns with that deal.
that's a bad one. That shouldn't be on there because that deal's almost over.
Yeah.
But they extended Bitonio. They extended Teller.
Yeah.
So there's other guys they paid money to. So now the Browns, going forward, have to do it differently. They have to get it right in the draft.
Yeah.
They have to make smart, veteran, cheaper free agent signings. That's how they do it differently. If they do that well, then this window will go as long as Watson's quarterback.
but you also, Bull, you have to take into account that depending on the market we're in. Like, you're in Dallas, you can do that because you're going to make so much money on other things that you can supplement some of it. L.A., you can do that. In San Francisco, you can do that because you can supplement other things. Now, Cleveland, you got to be smart here. It's a short window here in Cleveland, and this is all the sports here. You have a short window for excellence here, and then you got to start.
But why?
Because
what's the difference?
What the difference is that you
not-
said that they're going to be dependent on the guys that they draft and develop. You forgot the fact that they traded away a bunch of picks. So now
traded 3
so now
picks,
that
who
these
cares?
guys that they're developing is not first round
Well,
picks.
you
These
can't-
are people that are
That's all
going
right.
later
If you're
in
a
the
good
draft.
team and you draft well, you don't need all the
But Tyvis, you can't hold on to a bunch of people in these markets because you can't pay everybody. Here,
No, you ain't-
the longer you
yeah,
stay here, people want to be paid.
I know that, but in football, it's a salary cap. The Green Bay, Green Bay stayed good forever.
If I want $20 million,
Yeah,
I don't
they
care if
got
I got it from, I don't care if I got it
quarterback.
from New Orleans or
but
Cleveland.
Deshaun
whoever got
Watson can be that level of quarterback, in my opinion.
He gonna have to be.
Yes.
You hope that they can do exactly what you're talking about. We don't have the evidence or proof of that. You hope they can do that.
Right.
You know you have the roster to win right now.
Right.
That's
Agreed.
the difference.
Yes.
You hope that that Nick Harris is a 5th-round pick before he gets hurt, can grow into that guy, that DPJ is
But
a
that's
6th
already
rounder.
happened. But those things are already now.
No, but I'm saying down the road, you hope that can continue, but we don't have the proof that they can do that. Where's the evidence that they can draft well and develop guys?
Well, but they have drafted pretty well the last couple of years.
Nick Harris, you would hope, would have been that guy, that they could continue that into the future. But you know you have a roster right now that can win
this
now
GM has
for
put
2
together.
years before they have to start getting creative.
You also notice, Jason, you also notice that you can go to any sport. You cannot carry high-level, high-money-making dudes all the time. You just cannot.
I don't agree with that.
There's which sport?
In football, you can.
Take baseball away.
Right.
No, take football, basketball, You get a core set of guys, and then the money comes into play, and they start moving people.
Yeah, but why? If LeBron had wanted to stay here, wouldn't Gilbert would have kept paying?
No, listen. No, Dan blinked. Like, people don't realize
last year
when Dan blinked,
Like,
when it got to the end with the repeater tax in the NBA.
But wasn't that because he knew LeBron was going to leave again? Didn't that factor in?
Like, I'm trying to do this off the top of my head. I think it was it Varejao? There was somebody that they moved that they didn't have to, but they moved him to get the money off the books because of the repeat offender.
Well,
but that's down the road.
he would've done that
That's
with
5
Star
years
player.
later.
So Jason, you know how Jordan ended up in Washington?
Miami cut Mike Miller because of the repeat offender.
You know how Jordan ended up in Washington?
Right.
Because Ryan Jordan wasn't going to pay anymore. I gave you this $30 million. You're not getting a dime more. It's over. That's how he ended up in Washington.
Even Joe
Okay,
Lacob,
but that's-
even
but then you're
Joe
saying
Lacob
that's
in
every
Golden
team,
State.
not
Well,
just
but I'm saying
Cleveland.
because most of these owners,
Yeah.
they have a limit.
Even-
they have a limit.
Right, but you know
that they're
what? For
gonna do.
years, Jimmy Haslam, because they had a crappy team and they never drafted good players, he was way under the cap. All
Yeah.
other teams are paying more. Listen, I've
can
killed
restructure
Jimmy,
contracts
but I
and-
have reason to believe that Jimmy won't have a problem having being right at
agree
the
with
salary
that.
cap for a number of years
I agree
if
with
he
that.
needs to. I don't think the Browns are going to lose Deshaun Watson or key players because of money.
Oh,
now, eventually, if you have
Deshaun
so
Watson-
many guys,
Deshaun Watson's
yeah,
going nowhere.
you have
Well, they
that many
kept
players,
him.
you got to let some guys go. We saw what happened in Seattle's defense. Their defense fell apart.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Where are you willing
But they didn't draft well after that.
Where are you willing to take the hit at? Because you got a quarterback, you got a DN, you got a corner. You got 3 positions.
You know
Well,
where you take the hit?
Where?
Guards. They've got $30 million invested in their
Batonio,
guards.
in 2 years, you're going to move on from Batonio,
Well, I guess you
right? You're going to move on from Amari
You
Cooper.
needed-
You got to get young receivers. You got to develop.
You needed $15 million guards when Baker was your quarterback. You
Right.
don't need $15 million
You don't.
guards
Certainly
with,
not
with
2.
Deshaun Watson. Not 2
And
of them.
Batonio's probably
He's
got another
30.
year or 2 at a high level, and then he'll start to decline.
That's
and
one
you
of the
move on.
spots where you're gonna-
Amari Cooper, you're not going to pay him that kind of money maybe even after this year. So you'll find
I think
they'll
he's
find
guaranteed
ways.
The
next
one
year
thing,
it's
the
20.
one
Or
thing,
one
that-
more
the
year,
one
yeah.
thing you said, you have to be smart. You have to be smart how you structuring this going forward because it's not writing a blank check for years. It's like there's some strategy
Right.
here. So
But the cap-
you hope that Barry and Haslam are on the same page, and
Yes.
there's an extraction piece here because every year somebody's going to get extracted from here, right? And we're going to fill the void with somebody else.
Right.
And it's really about moving money around because Watson's going nowhere.
Well, the
He's going
number-
to get all
Right.
that money
That's
right
true.
here in
He's gonna
Cleveland.
get
Yes,
paid.
he is.
Well,
Yes.
the number one thing that they have to make sure that they keep, if they want to keep this window, is they have to keep a running game. So you would hope Jerome Ford and Dearness Johnson can turn
Well,
into
that-
the future
and
of
that's
Nick
it.
Chubb and Kareem Hunt.
Right. And Nick Chubb, I mean,
think
you know,
is their plan.
You never know. You're right. Running backs. I mean, look at Todd Gurley. Like 3-4 years
Yeah,
ago,
I
he's
know.
the
Yeah,
best running back he's
a
had a league.
shame. That one's a shame.
Right? I mean, we see that, but there's also Adrian Petersons who are great into their 30s. It's less common, and maybe because they haven't given Nick Chubb every single
That's the
carry
point I made a
that he
couple
can
weeks
last
ago.
longer. And to this point, now it happened quick for Gurley, but to this point, there's been no signs of decline for Nick Chubb. There's no reason to believe, at least for another 2-3 years, he won't be really good. But yes, you have to have those guys coming up. The next, and right now, at wide receiver, we don't, or we don't know.
It seems like right now, if I was to look at this Browns team, right now they're taking the hit at wide receiver and defensive tackle. Those are the 2 spots that they like. We're going to go in the season, our playbook, the way we're going to call plays,
We're gonna roll the
it doesn't
dice.
matter
Roll
who's
the
in
dice.
there. They should be able to at least make this play. And
That's
that's
right.
kind of where it looks like.
That's
if I
right.
looked at the Browns, that's the 2 hits.
And that's why, over the next couple of years, we're going to see, are they able to draft young, like David Bell? What's he going to be? We're all, he's a rookie. We don't know what he's going to be. What if at the end of this year he has, 912 yards and 5 touchdowns?
Then
Then we feel really good
then it
about
will
it.
open up that window just
right.
a tad bit more.
That's why they moved on from Landry. Like, we're not paying this money. We're going to try
That's
somebody
right.
else. We're not
They're
paying
like,
this money.
the Browns believe they can get the production, different type of player.
Yeah.
But they can
less-
get the production
for
that
less
Landry
capital.
gave them
For
for
le-
less money.
for less
and you've
capital.
got to find the areas. That's why they did it with Treader, obviously.
I think that the best times to capitalize on Super Bowls is when you have a rookie quarterback before he gets paid. Because
Sure.
now you got a
That's
whole bunch of money to throw it somewhere else.
Right.
And this is the last year of
That's
that.
Joe Burrow. He ain't got paid yet, so they can
But he's
spend the
gonna
money.
get paid after this year.
They're going to have to start saving. You see,
Yep.
Jesse Bates can't get paid. And
He
'cause
came back to the team, though.
Oh, yeah, he seen Daxton Hills made an interception. He said,
I
let
better
me
get
get back
back.
on in there.
And Tyvis, to your point, the Deshaun suspension was an absolute worst case scenario for the Browns because with 6 games
Short the window.
is when his contract becomes eligible for this year. So he's a $10 million cap hit this year and a $55 million cap hit next year. If it was 12 or 13 games, I believe, not 100%, but I believe the contract then counts next year as $10 million. Everything gets pushed back a year.
Yeah.
So it was an absolute worst case scenario.
Well, if
for
they
the
don't make the
Browns.
playoffs. It is
No,
the-
I'm just saying in general with the way that Deshaun's contract is
Right.
structured.
No, I
and
get
the
what you're
cap
saying.
hit
But
this year and
ultimately,
next year.
if they make the playoffs this year, then you don't worry about that. Who cares?
Sure, but
Yeah.
I'm
You
just
deal with the
saying
money
6 games
involved.
is the threshold for the contract
Right.
to count this year,
Yeah.
and that's the minimum that he's going to play.
Well, they're gonna have to
It's
be
an
creative with
accrued
the cap
season.
and
That's what it's
renegotiate.
called.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Accrued season.
Thank you.
Yeah, accrued
3
season.
seasons for
Right, it was a
3
big deal
games
with
for
Le'Veon Bell,
credit a
that's
year,
what,
6
right?
for accrued.
Everybody made that big deal with
Okay.
Le'Veon Bell. We were talking about
It
that
was
a
a
lot
big
then.
deal when I was playing. All I really cared was
Go
the
ahead,
3.
Mikey.
The
What do you
6
got?
got you closer to free agency.
Mike, I'm hungry
we feel like
right
we feel
now,
like we
buddy.